G'day my friends, would you like to learn how to grow avocado trees like a pro? Well, I used to grow around about 500 trees. I managed a small farm and it was one of my majors at college and I've been growing them ever since. I just love these trees. So I put together a video a while back and I want to reshare it so you can watch it and learn how to grow some of the best avocados around. Just like those ones that only been in the ground for around about 2 years. Then stay right to the end of the video because I'm going to have even more tips for you guys. All right, let's get into it. Video teaching you how to grow avocados at home. These ones are out in the street, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide all my knowledge about growing avocados. I've been growing them off and on for years, even studied agribusiness avocados at college, so I got a fair bit of knowledge on these guys and I absolutely love these trees. So let's get into it, let's get stuck in and show you how to grow the best avocado tree you can at home. So this tree is growing in sand out in the street. Now, sandy loamy soils is perfect for avocados. You've got to have really good drainage. If they get wet feet, they get a root rot. It's a type of nematode that lives in the soil, especially in clay soils, and it attacks the roots, and then the plants start getting like this sort of like a long brown crusty stem and break off and things. And phytophthora, it's not a nice thing for most plants that when it attacks the root zone. But in sandy soils it seems to do much better because the water doesn't stick around. But we've had floods here for the last 2 years now, and it's raining as we speak. It's been really wet, and these trees behind me, these hass, they're surviving and they've got heaps of fruit on them. So I'm really happy for these trees that they've done as well as they did. Anyway, let's talk more about them because I want to keep providing lots of tips for you guys. See how this tree is all splayed out and branches are going everywhere? Well, it doesn't have one central leader like, say, a pine tree or something like that's going straight up. They call this a vase shape. Now, they can be really good for producing fruit, but they can also get top heavy and fall down and create some problems and things. And then you have to go back to maybe choosing one central leader, one branch above the graft yet again. But when they're young like this and you just want to let them do their thing, it's a pretty good way to get started. The vase, remember, it's lots of branches going out like a vase shape. So when you're growing a vase tree, you generally have 3 central leaders. Now this one has about 5 or 6. And my friend, he's a very good gardener. I'd class him as a master gardener. And what he likes doing is he likes letting the trees and the plants and things just take their own natural form. Well, these ones, they've obviously done that, but the fruit have gotten so heavy that they've fallen over and they're landing onto the ground now. So you'll have to go back in the next few months, I would say, and trim this tree and go back to one central leader or keep the vase, depending on what he does. Who knows, he might come up with something that I haven't even thought of. Avocado trees, the stems, the inside trunks and the fruit are actually partial to sunburn. And if you leave parts of the tree exposed, then it may get sunburned in really heavy weather. Now, what we want the fruit to do is actually sit below the leaves, underneath the canopy, away from obviously pests and things that can see it, and maybe someone that wants to steal one of your avocados off the street. But I highly doubt it's going to happen here in this street. Anyway, you want the fruit hidden below the leaves, and that way you won't get any sunburn and they will actually turn into beautiful, juicy, nice, ripe fruits for you. Underneath the tree, what we want to do is have a lot of mulch. The reason being is because avocados, they're a rainforest tree. They love hanging on the edges of the rainforest and catching that filtered light or a bit of sunlight as they pop through the edge of the rainforest, things like that. But as we humans, we like to grow them to the best result we can get, is to have them in full sun, because then you get more fruit. But you need to keep them, if you can, very well mulched, because they're a surface root feeder. That rainforest trees always have surface roots underneath the mulch zone, and that's how they feed. Unless you're going to feed them a lot of it, sort of like chicken pellets and seaweed things like that, they need to resource their food from that mulch zone, which is the humus zone, where all the microbes and the activity is going on to help them photosynthesize and take in all that beautiful nutrients that they need. You'll also get better results if you allow that area where the roots are to be shaded. Now, the roots will go out as far as the edge of the canopy of the tree, and that way the sun's not baking down straight on the root zone down below. The plant will be much healthier and happier. Now, if you live in a place where you think it's a bit wetter, like I spoke about at the beginning of the video, raise your avocado up as much as possible. Now remember, the avocado trees, the original ones when they first planted them, were looking for 2 meters of topsoil, free draining topsoil. So sand or lots of draining soil. And if you can get hold of a dwarf tree, you may be able to grow it in a pot or raise it up at least around about 1 meter, and you'll have better success. So when is the fruit ready to be picked? Well, when you can see that it's starting to brown off around the top here, so it's getting ready to drop its fruit and starting to get a bit of a yellowing. You see that crack there just easily. Now, I don't want to take this fruit because I'll be in trouble if I do that. So I'm just going to leave it there. It'll be fine for another week or two. My friend's going to come out and do a massive harvest on this tree really soon, I reckon. You can start growing an avocado tree from seed, buying it from the fruit that you get from the supermarket. But it takes around about 7 years for them to get to fruiting stage, and you don't know if they're going to produce fruit or it's going to be good fruit at all. So the best thing to do is to buy a grafted tree that is suited to your area. Ask them at the nursery which is best for you. I live sort of right on the edge of temperate and subtropical, so the best tree here is the Hass, I believe. Now this one, it's a grafted tree. It's about 3.5 years old, and it's doing absolutely brilliant. And it'll just keep growing on and on for years to come in this street. I think it's passed the test of time with the floods, the sun, and even droughts and bushfires, right? So it's doing all right. Anyway, if you're enjoying the show and you want to learn more about growing fresh food fast at home and worm farming and organic gardening and small space vegetable gardening, as we cover. All right, how's that video? A bit of a blast from the past there. Now, some really good tips there about growing avocados. It just covered so much. One thing I forgot to mention was most people buy a grafted tree, which is around about 1 year old when it's grafted onto rootstock, right? And then the top part of the tree is a branch and the bottom is the roots. Now, the tree actually thinks that it's still a branch, so it produces these leaves going out there, branches going everywhere. So over time, you have to prune and train the tree to grow correctly, or just let it grow crazy and see how it goes. But I highly recommend that you learn how to prune the avocado tree. After they're about 3 years old, you need to start pruning them. Now, I've got some other tips here for the growth here, written down on my little label here. So when you first get them going, if you've got a worm farm or some liquid tea around, give them a good drink. Get the leaves really nice and big, nice and healthy, so I can photosynthesize. As soon as you see it flowering, back off, more compost around there, and then start watering it in, and then it will produce a great flower set. Don't forget the cover mulch, really, really important. Now, if you've grown avocados or you've got any questions about growing avocados, leave them in the comments box down below. I will get back to you. I answer all my questions, and I love helping everyone grow as much food as they can at home. Have a great day. Happy gardening. Oh, don't forget the thumbs up if you got value, and subscribe. We'll see you at the next video real soon. Bye for now.